or not the last meeting, but the second meeting updated.
I've never done that. Again,
We wanted to include the, I think it's the record section.
Yeah, I had that pulled up too, because in the 2 meetings ago, I had heard up that we needed to replace my position on the next meeting.
I did make a note at the beginning of these ones. I don't know if that rectifies the problem or not.
No, because we still need to go back and approve the
Yeah.
minutes from that actual meeting.
Thank you.
yeah, that's how we've already done it before, so we can, that's easy to show.
But while we're at it, let's just check and see if there are any other meetings that still need minutes approved, and we can just take care of all that from the last, say, the last 6 months.
Okay, cool, yeah.
No, because we weren't taking any action.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. His last name just didn't go in
Okay, just a thought.
Yeah.
I'll share. From last meeting?
Yeah, last name.
Did everybody get copies of the minutes from last week, last time?
I did.
And then we'll go on.
Yeah, so that's last week. This is all from when we talked about the school building.
Pictures that they had stored or they were doing business. And how much they were carrying out.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the meeting that preceded it. So this is comments that were made, it's not this.
Oh, is that right?
That's what I'm saying, I'm thinking of this. It's the other way, it's
Oh, no, not before the second meeting. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just a matter of putting his name in if it's right. Anything else? We will open the meeting at 6:09. Is there any public comment? Brian?
I would like to comment on the, selectmen on the in-town road right-of-ways. Right-of-ways that are being blocked with everything from rocks, used cars, to kayaks, to camper trailers, right away on the in-town streets is 24 feet 9 inches from the center.
How much, Brian?
24 feet 9 inches. 3-rod right away. Willamette Road, Elliottsville Road, and North Guilford Road, I believe those are 4-rod roads because they were not state roads. But perhaps, Eric, I don't know, you go around, look at stuff before your meeting, you take a ride around, see what's going on. Perhaps you could drive and see what stuff, it's especially on the Water Street and off the side streets of Water Street. But it shouldn't be anything in the road right away.
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
And the,
Not only that, it blocks, we need to have fire trucks or something else, access, so there's no location to rescue
safety
it.
hazard, and even when you, if the snow plows hit that stuff, the town can be held out in that regard if somebody gets hurt. If you haven't addressed it.
So what's the process for basically talking to those residents? What's the process for talking to those residents and having them move that? Send a letter?
Yeah, that's what they've done in the past, send them out and ask them to put it right. You know, it's licensed once in a while, can't be helped. It's a junk car.
Thanks. Any additional public comment? John?
Yeah, I was wondering what the source of your information was on the standard offer electricity from CMP Power, which you stated last meeting.
What's the source?
Yeah,
A CMP bill.
it's between 6 and 7 cents per kilowatt hour for the electricity. The delivery charge is 13.2 cents per kilowatt hour.
It's actually not, but the rates change, of course. The electricity, the energy prices are set through the standard offer process once a year. That's generally in December, January. And then the delivery charges are set and change according to whenever the power companies petition the PUC for a rate change. And so actually the rates were just changed about a month ago. Probably have seen a news article about CMP being granted a rate increase, and so the new rates are about 15.8 cents per kilowatt hour. That's what residential and small residential standard offer rate is, a combination of energy and delivery, and it totals 15.8 cents.
Well, now you're talking the two combined then?
Yep.
It hasn't been, it's been separated.
Yeah, they're separated on your bill, but when you add them up, that's what you get.
Just talking about the total, yeah, amount.
Oh, that's going to be cheaper then, because between 6 and 7 cents and 13.2 cents, that would be almost 21 cents total.
Yeah, I'm not sure where 13.2 cents is coming from, because
The delivery charge.
no, the delivery charge is between 6 and 8 cents, depending.
Pilot, that's the electricity charge, between 6 and 7 cents per kilowatt hour.
When you add up those two portions, it's for a residential customer, it's roughly half and half between the electricity itself and the delivery of the electricity.
The delivery is 2/3 of the total.
I'm happy to discuss this with you in private
Well,
if you wish.
let me get my August bill in,
Yeah.
and we'll see if the changes that around.
Yeah, this is
I know what it's been.
Yeah, this is my day job. I deal with electricity rates in Maine all day long.
Well, I pay a power bill every month, and I have for quite a few years.
Yeah. Do you have a concern that you'd like to ask to address?
Not till I get my August bill.
Okay.
Because if the standard offer power was between 6 and 7 cents, we're gonna have to pay the delivery anyway, which we've been doing on the solar.
No, that's not how it works. The net energy billing policy credits you for both the energy itself and the delivery. So the value of the energy generated by the solar panels is not just the energy, it's that full 15.8 cents for using a residential example.
Okay, and we've been paying 3,600 total with payments for the solar outfit. But we've been paying about 4,200 total for electricity last year out of the buildings of the town. The gym, the municipal, and the solid waste.
Okay, what's your concern though?
Nothing yet.
Okay,
I
thank you.
want some more information. I just wanted to see where you get your information.
From the source. Thank you, John.
I know where I got mine, right from the source too.
Yeah. Is there any additional public comment?
You know, last week, you called, and I'm assuming you called because Daniel said the selectmen asked for a town meeting before a business meeting,
I'm sorry? Oh, you're referring to the public meeting.
a public meeting. And I'm assuming you called for it since you're the head selectman.
In a previous meeting, yes.
Yeah. And it would seem to me that you had every responsibility of being there for it. Daniel took responsibility for relaying the information to you. But yes, I feel that his relaying was somewhat lacking. I do appreciate the work that Eric has gone through to come to the conclusion it was come to. And it just seems to me that the whole issue was handled in a very shipshod manner to benefit friends of yours. And this is not the way town business is to be run. And if this is the way it's going to continue to be run, I think you should be looking for another position.
What is it that makes you think that I was doing this for personal gain?
Well, you had much as said that when you stated that, and I know you can get around what I'm about to say. But when you said you would not vote because you were friends with the folks that presented the petition, you should have voted, no question about that. And then for you not to be at the meeting when it was scheduled, and you were the one that had it scheduled, even though you made a separate time, you had every responsibility of being there. And it just is not right. And I think if that's the way business is going to be run, as for head selectman, you need to give it some thought. And I addressed the issue of liability, which was not related to them, or very encapsulated. When I was 9 years old, the city of Boynton Beach, Florida, decided that it was time to upgrade the sewer system. If any of you know anything about the sand in Florida, it's like sugar. And it was an invitation for the boys to play in. The city and the construction company took no precautions whatsoever. And I dug my brother out of that sandbank, and he was dead. Never to be brought back. There was a lawsuit. And there was hell to pay. And I think you guys need to give some serious thought. When the sheriff's department was here, and he stated that these four-wheelers should not be on the road, that they were not safe. For the town to open up a couple of roads for them. Now I know our road is not, but you still have roads open. In spite of the fact that he stated very clearly that there's a safety issue, I think you're taking personal responsibility here. Regardless of what Daniel may say, I don't know how many years of law he's had to back up his statement. But I think you should give some serious thought to this. And I don't think it's just a matter of being able to sleep at night. I personally think that you might, if somebody were killed, I've been there, lawsuits. There could very well be a lawsuit, you might
find yourselves in over the head over your heads. And I don't need a response. That's just my statement. And, I think that this has been handled in a manner that was, and the only one that handled it responsibly was Ed. And I think it's time for you to step down.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. I think I've, in my time on the board, have sought to be as inclusive as possible in the manner in which we do business. And the process for evaluating whether to open the Stewart Road to ATVs has been long, drawn out, considered over a long period of time, and very inclusive. You know, the whole reason why.
Wait a minute. You said over a long period of time? I remember when that petition was taken by Kim. It was not that long ago.
That was not the beginning of the conversation.
Well, that's part brought it to the floor.
All I'm saying is that the reason we wanted to host a public forum for this issue specifically was to get the feedback of the people who live on the road and would be most impacted by this. So I'm sorry you feel like there's something malicious going on here, if that's the
I
case.
didn't say it's malicious. I didn't say malicious. I said that there may be some negligence on your part. It's not the same as maliciousness.
Sure.
Maliciousness is intent to do harm. This may be overlooked. And when it comes to a lawsuit, something that is overlooked demands responsibility. And I'm just saying, I went home one night, or afternoon, and there was a kid, and I mean a kid, leading the pack of four-wheelers. Everything was safe and they were doing well. But when you have four-wheelers and kids on the roads, you have balloon tires, they're going all over the place. You're looking at serious issues.
Thank you for your feedback. Yes.
Is it Jim? Is your name Jim?
Yeah.
Okay, so I took away from that meeting that, you know, we were going to pursue developing some guidelines so that there's some consistency when the issue comes about for other roads, or Stewart Road again, or whatever, that we have done our due diligence in terms of keeping safety first. And so we're not just haphazardly making a judgment on it, if that makes
I don't
sense.
think you're going haphazardly, Joseph.
But we want to develop guidelines, and you know, we're going to pursue, like, seeing if the state has some guidance as well. So we haven't dropped the issue. We're still, I think, you know, have that in sight to do the right thing.
You know, and it's the other thing too is that any of the trails that we've opened up are not sort of in a forever situation. It's conditional based on the use, based on how they act, speeding, or creating litter, or creating havoc, or anything like that. That is something that's, you know, prevalent in a big way. We can stop it. Whether or not we can control it, because I've seen other things, but
That's always questionable.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Is there any additional public comment?
Yeah, I got a couple things. I'll show you a picture of the culvert that looks fine. Does it fine to you?
Where is that?
Right at the house.
Okay.
35 Stewart Road.
Okay.
Does that look fine? Washing out already.
When did that wash out? It's last year.
Last couple storms. So, what do we have for rain? So, question is, why wasn't that seeded in? It was never compact. Nothing was ever done right with that whole situation. I mean, we all know that. You know, and you know what else has happened? If they're going to fix this real quick, because I'd like to get some gravel in there, and I'm not fixing somebody else's problem. It's not going to happen.
Yep, I think thank you for bringing that up. you know, in some ways it's great to have, well, in all ways, it's great to have an involved community so we can crowdsource this information so that it comes to our attention sooner than would otherwise be the case, and we can take care of it faster. I think moving forward, I would encourage you to send notice to the town manager, to the select board.
That's not gonna happen.
I'm just telling you that I think that it's important to get feedback from the community members so we can take care of these things as soon as possible.
Well, we need to find somebody else because there's no communication between me and him. And you seen that the last meeting at the end, didn't you? Didn't you? You gonna answer me, or are you just gonna sit there and look stupid at me?
Do you have any additional constructive feedback?
Did he not act like a fool that night? Instead of answering a question, he wanted to answer a question with a question, didn't he? Didn't he?
I'm not here to comment on.
Of course not. We never get a straight answer out of you. Even the day I sat right here and talked with you about stuff, asked you who the lawyer was for this thing, wouldn't answer me. You don't like to answer questions. That's your job. You got to answer to the public. That's your job. That's his job, and he won't do it. The thing is, my problem is like, somebody's going to come into this town office that does have a problem. They're going to be confronted with the town manager, and it's going to be some poor veteran, some handicapped person, and he's going to blow up on him. And what's going to happen? That veteran might snap and rip his head off. Who's going to be at fault for that? Who? Very piss poor management. People need to start looking what's going on here. They have to respect the public. So does Mr. Turner. Respect the public.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter what goes on. Respect the public.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Do you have any additional feedback?
No, not at this moment.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Rick?
So, I took a ride back out to the LA Swim. The culvert that crosses over to the North Pond stream was never replaced. And it's rusted and bent. We dug right to it. So,
I didn't hear what stream was on.
excuse me,
I didn't hear what stream that you said.
North Pond. Did you take a picture of it, Eric?
No, I did write out this afternoon, just take a look at it there, and it's not the North Pond Stream, it's a culvert that's probably, I would say maybe 500 feet towards Ellisville.
Yeah,
But it's a low drainage area. It's just an old culvert. The solution, at least for the time being, is to just cut one end off so it's clean.
That's true. That's the solution, but it should have been replaced. So
Yeah, it should have
It should have been.
But I think it'll hold 5 years.
And is that actually the right way to do those ditches? Because I thought that you were supposed to have a guideline, and it was a state guideline. Was something, am I not right, Brian? Weren't you supposed to rock in the culverts and put jute down and hay, a bale of hay, and stake it in at the end of the, no?
Whatever they do should have been in the contract for Julie and Rob.
Was it in the contract? That's not.
What rocks are they talking about? In Maine? The ones they put in the water bottom?
The piles?
No,
No.
we've always put rocks on the inlet and the outlet of the culverts. And none of them had any rocks on them, not, except for the big one.
Head walls.
Yep, that's it. And jute. Everything the town did when we did the ditching, every ditch had the jute down. Do you know what jute is?
Prevent erosion.
It's, yes. And then at the end of your runoff, you put a bale of hay and you stake it. Nothing. That's the way, you can ask your dad, he'll tell you. Everybody does it that way. Joe Larry did it that way. The town did it that way. But now we get a job like this, and it's not done. Now, I see you said you come back, did we pay the guy? Have we paid him? Yeah. What's up with the beach? We're not gonna take care of the beach anymore? Anybody been over there? It's got erosion, there's grass growing right up in the middle of the beach. It's like, there hasn't been anybody there. There's no ladders for the dock that you said was 90% sure we're gonna have ladders on it. No, here it is, end of August, nothing. Where's the flags? No flags. Do we have any flags? I guess we don't.
We got new flags. We got new flags.
I know it's petty, but Jesus, it's every year. Ever since he's been here, there hasn't been a ladder on those floats. Now, my kids don't go over there, my grandkids don't. But that's not, it's a town beach that needs to be taken care of. You know? And he sits here and he says, I can get a grant for $1 million sidewalk. What the hell would we want a sidewalk if you're gonna go to a beach that's dirty, not taken care of? All the floats out there, all of the camps, they all have ladders, but ours, it doesn't look good. You know? There's no sense in making a list because nothing's ever going to get done. The sign, the yield sign, you still can't see it. He went and trimmed it, but he didn't go back and look at it. Yeah. In the grader, you can have a grader here tomorrow.
Please.
I just don't think you tried. Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
it.
Thank you, Rick. I mean, I think there's no disagreement that there's a lot of work to be done in this town when it comes to beautification, when it comes to our infrastructure, et cetera. I think there's been massive improvements.
But you know, I told you this a couple years ago, if you had a road committee, none of this would have ever happened. None of it. You would have never got a bid like that. Because the people in the committee would have known. But he didn't want to have one. All he wanted to have was time. What the heck? And there's people here in this town that would be on that committee. When I worked here, I wanted a road committee. They helped. They didn't, it wasn't like, it was a helpful thing to have. Because it took the pressure off you.
No, I agree, and actually it's a topic that I've brought up in the past as well. This is not the meeting to discuss kind of the status of where all this public works planning and system changes is. And I can only ask that you be patient as we continue this process, but there are a lot of things.
But we've been patient, but it's been how many years now? You know, it's like, it's the same issue. Like, I went back I don't know when it was, when I put my hunting coat away, maybe when I was getting out, I reached in the pocket, and there's a list from the year ago, and it was the same thing that fall. Same thing. It's every year it's the same thing. It's just, we're not doing things. You know, it's like, I mean, the town looks so nice, the part that Lieber's done. And the beautification committee, I mean, that's beautiful, but, you know, why can't we just put, you know, like, you go to other towns, just go to Willimantic. I mean, that's beautiful down there. Everything's nice and neat. You know, that's all. It's just clean it up, put the flags up so it looks nice. Everything's the same. Other than that, let's move on.
My last 2 cents will just be that I agree with you on this. There's a lot of work to be done, and they're small things, right?
Yeah, they're all just small things. Yeah.
The time we spent together, you never, when we drove around, you showed me all these things. These are not unreasonable requests, and
To
so
fix that beach is, in the summertime, like a week like this here, you go Monday morning, it's an hour, that's it, just an hour. Back drag that, smooth it up. People appreciate it when they go over there. I mean, who the heck wants to go over there and you can see it hasn't been taken care of. It hasn't. And that's not a big deal to put ladders on that. Holy smokes.
And besides that, isn't our tax dollars going into that? I mean, when we went to the budget thing and you showed us all these amounts of money and stuff, and our taxes go up, but then you walk around the town, or you look around the town, you drive down the roads, the grass is not cut, the bushes aren't pushed back. You're talking about narrow roads, but the bushes are just coming over. You know, I mean,
Should have seen the gravel on the basketball court, wasn't cleaned up till July. The rocks as big as softballs. You saw it, didn't you, Eric?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know,
That's disgusting.
we're paying all this money and we're not seeing anything changing from year to year. I mean, it took me a whole year to get my part of the road done. And then they go and they put rocks on it, and then the sander comes. And it's doing Stewart, and it comes and it turns and it's doing the rocks. I'm going, they're sweeping the rocks. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? So I'm just saying, you know, our money is out there and it's shitty work. Plain and simple. So I don't know, I mean, we need to have someone ride the roads or get a committee or something, because it's true. You drive into MONSON and it's totally a different look for the town.
I hope to have a town manager that leaves the office.
I got two more things. One, I'd like to know where the money went for the Hillside Cemetery. I don't want to hear it got dissolved. I want to know where it went. That's a question.
That was earmarked.
Right.
Okay.
And the person that worked on that probably wouldn't be impressed to where it went.
We can do that.
And the other
Is
thing,
there a trust fund or something for the
He said he wrote it out of the budget last time I was here.
For the roads.
Are you talking specifically about paving or something like that?
paving and fixing all the stuff that was supposed to be fixed. It was like $28,500. I think that was the last that I was told.
Can look into that, yeah.
I had that as a question.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you where.
And the other thing is, all the money that we lost this year, we could have had 2 full-time town managers, easy. Easy. You can't keep going like this. It's ridiculous.
Thank you, sir. Is there any additional public comment?
Yeah, I might as well. I wasn't gonna, but now that you guys, at the last meeting, it was brought up about the Willimantic Road didn't get finished. And Daniel said that the posts weren't there. The posts have been there for 22 years that I know of. There's a slate marker, there's a metal post, and the big one was Willimantic stopped asphalting at their town line.
That's right.
The only way that he didn't see that was he didn't go out there. And if he told you that he went out and didn't see that, that's a lie, because all that stuff has been there. It wasn't taken out and put back. It's always been there. So I would like to see you guys address the lying that he seems to tell you guys a lie and you all buy it. And I don't understand that. Nobody's asking any questions about what's going on.
Thank you, Mike. Miss, you had a question in the back?
Yes, excuse me. In regards to in front of my house, there is, on the Stewart Road, there are some markings. And is that because you're going to put a new culvert at the end of my driveway? Nothing's been done, but there are some markings, you know,
I don't know which house is yours. Is the one that's
it's
on
the first log home on the right.
Right.
Right. So we were going to replace that culvert because it was coming up kind of high, but I'm assuming somebody that lives there, maybe, I don't know if you're married or not, called and asked us to not do it.
Called what?
Called and asked us to not do it.
Not do it.
She's the only one who lives there.
Jackie, your house is on the right-hand side.
Right, on the right.
There's a log cabin on the left-hand side as
Oh.
well. So there might
I'm on
be
the
a
right.
confusion over
Yeah, but the
cabin.
marks were on
Markers
your
on the
Yeah,
driveway.
it's right by my driveway. And I just didn't know if that was an error, or if you were going to replace the culvert, that is, my driveway is tied.
Right.
And if you did dig that up, would you be retiring what you,
If we had done it, we would have retired.
so are you doing that, or was that an error?
No, we didn't end up doing it.
Was that in the contract?
No.
Because I wondered, it's been there, and I thought, well, I just wondered.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that the markings may be for the ditching.
Yeah, I don't know what the markings are.
It was marked to start at Jackie's driveway and go down.
And that
So
may
it was
be-
marked above the culvert, not below it.
No, it's
So
right
it was
above,
marked to
yes,
start
yeah.
ditching on the uphill side of the culvert and go down.
So if it's marked, why is it in the contract?
The reason I say that is because sometimes we see things differently than they're intended to see. We don't understand it actually, what's intended to be understood. Because I know down the road further, there's a thing that has this word, I'm looking at it, kind of think, I find it occurred to me, it means dig, from here down.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I thought about it.
So Jackie, is your culvert, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Is your culvert in good shape there? Is that?
I don't know. I know that I mow my lawn outside of my rock wall, right to my driveway on from Willamette to Stewart. So it looks lovely. But there is a culvert and it goes down towards Corey and I don't know how it looks.
Probably a
There
good
is
thing
one
he
on
didn't do
sewer
it.
that we initially talked about.
I keep saying that.
When we took it.
I was just curious if it is in bad shape.
Yeah, I didn't know
The one
that
that-
was just you were going to do it, or maybe it was a mistake. And then my concern was, well, if they dig that up, that's hard there, certainly they would replace
Right.
the asphalt. That's all. Thank you.
David,
Hello.
you're up.
Hi, everybody. I live in Sangerville, and we don't have any problems at all. Let everybody know that. So we have a nice harmonious town. A little bit about my friend George is here. So a little bit about Monson's history. So, you know, this idea that if you're going to tell the story of Monson, Maine, right, wouldn't we all agree that you should tell the whole story, right? Which included in 1839 the St. John tribe that was here, that the early founding fathers, and Eric and I have talked about this at his yard sale, that this is a big part of Monson history. So coming up in 2020, we'd like to be a big part of the bicentennial, and we'd like to, you know, get the town leaders, I don't know if it's permission or blessing, but to have a tribal gathering up behind the, I don't know if that's the school up there, that field up there. And then if there's going to be any kind of parade or anything, that we'd like to be involved. And I know right now I don't look like an Indian, but Dungaka Mejdabestum and Dakan Sifun Wastadio Igsignogama. So I speak my language. So it's not just about looking Indian, it's about, you know, culture, speaking the language, being proud, and also having a good relationship, you know. And I think out of all the towns in 1839 that were here, Greenville, Abbott, there were tribes, well, our tribe was there, but the only one that wrote to the legislature for the tribe, in support of the tribe, was the founding fathers of Monson. So, you know, I just think it would be great for the town. You always hear about the Indians and the state fighting. Wouldn't this be a great example of, you know, peace and friendship, where, you know, we can say, hey, we don't want to change the name of any schools, at least I don't. You know, I don't think that those kind of political issues are our issues, but if we could show that, you know, we're embraced by the town leaders as the people that were once here and still here, that would be a good thing. And I think it would actually, you know, be good for the young people to witness that here in town. You know, see that they're, I mean, Eric and I talked about his family and, you know, long, long history. But the Indians were here too. So I just wanted to put
You were here first.
put a bug in your ear about it and something to consider. Have anything, help me out, please?
I covered everything.
Yeah, just say something.
She spoke for 20 minutes last time.
Dave, you actually run out of words?
You guys gonna do TPs or you guys gonna do?
Okay, so, on behalf of myself and my good friend Georgia here, we would like to, you know, we say we'll even, thank you, and hopefully, in the coming months, because I think, the bicentennial,
Well, it needs to be decided in the next couple of weeks, because we're going to print with some
so,
information. So
okay.
what you want to do, Georgia, is maybe come to the next bicentennial meeting, which is
Oh.
in 2 weeks, I think. I can get, I
It's
can
second
email you.
Thursday, right?
What? Second Thursday? Yeah, second Thursday of September.
Where do you have that meeting right here?
Yeah.
And, proud military veteran, say a prayer for our troops.
So maybe if you can fine tune exactly what it might be and when we can get it in the calendar.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have a brochure that lists the big events that are going on
Okay.
soon.
Who is the lead person?
Glenn Lee, what? But you can
Promote it.
contact me.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not in charge, but I.
Do you have any other questions that you might want to ask me?
I was just going to say that I think it's an important piece of our history as not just you have communicated, but especially in the previous meetings where you've been here, and I look forward to including this as part of the activities we're doing in the present, and look forward to the continued strong relations being an important piece of our community moving forward.
Yeah, it would absolutely be great, and I think it's part of the true history. You know, nobody likes to hear part of the story; they want to hear the whole story. So it's important. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Town manager report.
So that has it in front of you. For town office, town clerk stuff, Roberta Jarvis has chosen to move on from the town office. She's gonna work on some stuff outside of the office. She's an artist and that kind of stuff. I started the search for that. I'm not in any rush to fill it. I want to make sure that we get be the right person. So far, I've just put it online and around town. But that's yielded a few people that have applied for it actually, which is more than I thought would apply. So may just leave it at that, may not. Of the people that have applied so far, they're all pretty outstanding. Over the past couple of weeks, in addition to the contractors that I've already tried to get, I was able to get a list of contractors from the Greenville town manager. So I was able to contact all of those as well for the ADA ramp and the gym doors. And of the 40 plus that I called that day, I heard from 4. And there were 4 that said that they would like to, but I've heard back from any of them. And so I'm gonna follow up with them in the coming week.
So how long do we have to, the money's been allocated to this capital?
It's from a bond.
This bond, okay. But I'm just saying that, like we talked about the roads there, in order to get a contract, a lot of times, especially now that they're busy, you may have to wait 6 months to a year. So
I've been telling them.
we might miss the window just because winter's coming.
Yeah, I've told them all that at this point we would be willing to, have a contract for the spring or just leave them ASAP. Unfortunately, the building boom was even before the pandemic, so they've just been all over the straight. Let's see. Next is Public Works. I spoke to Steve and asked him to have the roadside mowing done by the 1st of September, and he said that's doable. I went around today and saw that there has been quite a bit of progress on it. I spoke to, Allstate has completed the chip seal on all the roads, and they actually donated, or they gave us back all the rocks that they like swept up, which is what you saw happening at the thing. So I did ask them for how much they pay for that, because we had talked about that they made us lose our like coal patch. So that crushed rock is a very, very good material that we can use for like quite a bit of things. We can't coal patch with it, but we can use it around town for like a lot of stuff. And so I asked them for like how much that has a value of, to see what the value was versus, because where they gave it to us for free. Not only did they give us what was on the roads, what did get like glued down to the roads, they also gave us what was left over at the dock too. So we have quite a few tons of it there.
When did they complete the cleanup? Because I thought I saw chips on the road there when I went down to look at that culvert.
Yeah, so they sweep it off, and there's a vacuum that like sucks up. There is still a lot of rock that makes it onto the side, so it may still look like it, but over time that rock will, it disperses itself. They swept, I think, the 23rd. They started last week, or the beginning of last week, and the end of the week before that. I and Kyler have been working on the road plan to get that updated, or not updated, but have like another like reiteration of that. So that will be presented probably at either the next meeting or the meeting after that. There's a few more tweaks that I want to make to it to try to nail down a little bit more. After the last select board meeting, I did call Chad and have him come over, and we went over and we looked at the roads that were ditched. The fire department, we may have a problem here. So the governor's the mandate that she had put in place for all the healthcare workers to be vaccinated by the 1st of October. That extends to people that provide EMS services. So our rough numbers show that if that doesn't change, then on the 1st of October we'll have 2 firefighters, and all the other ones are choosing to not get their vaccine.
We would have to look how many right now are on the roster?
22, 23.
And only 2.
The others are choosing to not get their vaccine. This isn't, it's a hot, like, political topic. I'm not looking at it from a political standpoint. I'm looking at it from how do we keep the townspeople safe and stuff like that. So I will say a lot of town managers, we've talked about it, and we are waiting to see what happens, because undoubtedly this is going to be challenged in court, it's going to be challenged through whatever process it can be challenged through. So the mandate that's in place right now may not be the same mandate that's in place, or if there's even any mandate in place by the 1st.
You've got a plan on it, though.
There's another part to it. Okay. The numbers haven't changed at all because we still haven't changed months. Same with the trash station numbers. So stuff, a few things I've been doing. We're going to talk about it later, but I did get a quote from our bank about leasing the solar panels. Another agenda item that we're going to be talking about is setting the mill rate later. The good news is that, so when we do it, there's a range that we can set it. They're the lowest and the highest. Even even with the budget that we passed, even with the highest rate that we passed, if we were to pick the highest rate, it's still like half a mil lower than it was last year. So the taxes are going down. We've talked about it over the past few months. There's been comments made about other people contacting contractors, so I decided to start my own database of them. But not only who the contractors are, because I kind of have that list now from the agreement time manager, but I want to expand it to, because we've talked a lot about their preferences, whether they want to bid, whether they don't want to bid, whether they want to be contacted in the fall or the spring. So that's going to be all included in that. I actually met today with Bob Keys to go over the downtown Wi-Fi system. Bob was very knowledgeable about it. I did not know this, but he set up the downtown Wi-Fi system for the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts. So he actually has some experience doing this exact thing. He had quite a bit to say. I wish I could A, remember, but B, I don't think I would do him justice. The good thing, the summary is that there's things that we can do to improve it. He does have some ideas, and it's not things that we have to wait for. We'll look a while too. And kind of a side note to that is we did get our yearly bill from Axiom for the maintenance of the system and the reporting that we do. You'll notice in the warrant that I didn't pay it because we're not entirely happy with the service that we're getting from Axiom. So I have not paid that bill yet. I have reached out to Axiom to get their thoughts on the unreliability of it. Have not heard anything back, and I also would like to speak to them about some of the other inconsistencies, such as getting a usage report that says there was 5,000 users of the downtown Wi-Fi system here at the town office. I don't know much. I'm not an IT person, but 5,000 seems like a lot. So I think that we need some more information about that. I think the numbers that they provide us should be more broken down. And also, this is more knowledge than I have, so I'm just spewing out things a little bit that Bob told me. The report wants that we use 225 gigs of whatever you use for the system. And he said that is an insane amount. You could stream a Netflix movie constantly for a month and not use that much. Yeah. So we're going to do that too. I reached out to a few other groups to get some updates from them. I haven't gotten updates as of when I wrote this, but I wrote this on Monday. So since then, I have gotten some more updates, except from the cell phone tower company, which is MONSON. The last I heard from them, they had applied for a renewal, right? The tower company, they applied for a renewal for their building permit from you. Yeah. Okay. And that was no, but that was a few months ago too, right?
Oh, you mean
the cell phone tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cell phone tower.
So for the first time, we have a professionally done zoning map. It is now online as well, so you can go online to look up what zone your property is in. So they are online, but we also have a copy of it here as well. And I spoke to Bill Varney from Premium Choice about the fire alarms, to see where that is. And he said that they are still waiting for the pole licenses from whoever. He named a company. I don't remember what the company's name was. who they did a ride-along with. And so they've gone around to all of the poles to know which pole they have to use and do all that. Right now, they are waiting for a bill from that company for the make-ready bill. What do you call it? Maybe, you know. So that is moving forward. And something that's not on the agenda, but I just got a call from our attorney's office this afternoon. The bond that the town applied for was approved yesterday morning at their board meeting. But we need the select board to, sorry, did you read that? And we gotta vote yes on this.
You have to read out loud.
I mean, yeah, that would be in the minutes. I can do that, right? You know,
Proposed vote. Voted by the select board of the town of MONSON, Maine as follows. Voted 1, that a project consisting of road improvements, including transaction costs and other expenses reasonably related thereto, is hereby approved. 2, that the town treasurer and chair of the select board be authorized to issue a general obligation bond or bonds to the Maine Municipal Bond Bank in an amount not to exceed $600,000 for the purpose of funding the project. 3, that the treasurer and chair be further authorized to fix the dates, maturities, denominations, interest rate, place of payment, form, and other details of said securities, including the execution, sale, and delivery of said securities against payment therefore. 4, that the treasurer and chair be further authorized to execute a loan agreement with the Maine Municipal Bond Bank in such form as the bank may require. That the clerk is directed to affix the corporate seal thereto and attest the signatures of the treasurer and chair, and to file a copy of said loan agreement when signed with the records of this meeting, although the attesting and affixing of the corporate seal thereto shall not be deemed essential to the validity of the loan agreement, and that the bonds are hereby sold to the Maine Municipal Bond Bank at par. 5, that the select board hereby confirms its determination that the term of the bond does not exceed 120% of the economic life of the project. 6, that the bonds are designated qualified tax-exempt obligations of the town under the provisions of Section 265B3 of the Internal Code of 1986 as amended. 7, that the treasurer and chair of the select board are hereby authorized to execute and deliver any and all agreed documents and certificates, and to take any and all actions, including affixing the seal of the town as may be necessary or convenient to carry out the full purpose and intent of the foregoing vote.
Second.
And this was for the roads.
Yep, this is the bond that we voted on at town meeting. So the town meeting voted to allow you guys to do it, and now you guys are voting to allow me and Tyler to sign.
So we then make a motion to approve the proposed vote. Yes. Yeah, so I make a motion to approve the proposed vote as read.
It'd be awkward if you said.
She could have said yes.
Okay, so that's my vote.
All right, thank you. Select board reports. Sue, you want to go first?
We don't have anything this time.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, I get other things, but that's just some safety issues. I still want to bring up the merge sign here that comes into Route 15 off the North Guilford Road or South Main. It still isn't visible for any distance, and the only thing I could do is try to draw a cartoon depiction of the whole thing. And this is Route 15. This is North Guilford coming into 15. These little things are the trees that are blocking the yield sign. Daniel did clear in front of this tree, but the tree that is in front of that, like Copeland's garage, is completely blocking the sign. And I did read some of the articles that were on the Maine DOT, And it's a fairly complicated thing. It has to do with road speed, it has to do with distance, it has to do with distractions. But it sounds to me like you gotta have at least 300 feet of visibility if you've got a straight road. And then if you don't have, then there's a flow warning sign in front of the yield sign. So I said, oh, moly. But the thing is, I think if we just were able to move the limbs up and above the sign by about a foot and in a straight alignment across, take care of the whole thing. But the other thing too is, because that law really talks about distracted driving now. I'm surprised how much they got in depth about that already, you know. That people on the phone may not even see that, you know, that's true. So it's a good idea. It doesn't help when you've only got visibility for 10 feet. You're probably already through the area. And if you're on the phone, you probably won't see it at all.
Can you commit for the next, by the time we have the next meeting, to have this just be done, and we don't have to talk about it anymore?
I didn't drive, I walked and I could see it, but I'm sure it's different from the car. So. And I will say it was very scary when I was doing it. The number of cars that did not take notice of me and his own.
I was checking back on some of the notes there from, you know, probably right to the second week of April. And because I did ask, and I can't tell whether the solar panels were washed or not, and good to ask.
Yeah, it was funny, we had a big rainstorm right after I made that comment.
And maybe that cleaned it up? Okay. Well, it looked okay, but I couldn't tell. I'm not up there. I'm a half blind anyway at my age. And also, are we planning on doing any brush cutting on the North Gilbert Road there? There was something that was asked about. Actually, Tyler had asked that question as well too, about whether or not there was a plan for actually clearing some of the brush on the North Gilbert Road.
Steve and Jimmy have been going through doing as much as they can. Like today they did it, I want to say on Pleasant Street or wherever, I think it was Pleasant Street, until they couldn't stand anymore.
I'm sure the heat is killing them right now, but you know, if they're caught up on a lot of projects, it seems like fall would be a good time to do it.
And that's one of, I think I mentioned in one of the emails, like that's one of those good projects that, you know, when there's kind of a lull time, hey, go brush for a while.
Is the brush high? Is that what you're?
Yeah, it's just encroaching the road. You can see the alders now starting to grow in the ditches there, especially when you go down towards Turning Page Farm there. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't be able to reach.
No, they're not low. They're alders.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if he was focusing on any roads clears, but I can tell him that we want to focus on.
Well, I mean, I think anything that's probably immediate to the road would be good. The other thing I noticed when I was going down the Ellisville Road, the new posting for the 22-ton bridge sign was impeded by about 3 or 4 alder bushes when you get to, before you get to it. So the repeater towers, that's fixed now for the fire department.
Actually, good question. We haven't said anything. Actually, how much I do?
Follow up on that. So we can follow up on it.
Absolutely.
Any more word on fixing the fence at the transfer station?
Yeah. Thank you. That's something that just came about this afternoon. I was able to get Allen Farm Fence here for a quote. They came in at $10,000 for their quote. So what I did this afternoon was I sent that off to all states. Read the bill. You tell me what we're doing now. Because they had initially said, send us the bill and we'll take care of it. They wanted to keep it among friends as much as we could.
Oh, that's high. Considering I could do a 3-rail white fence in my front yard Or $5,000 all the way up to Woods
I
there.
don't know for sure, but from looking at the quote, I think they have more rules than we do.
Oh, probably,
So
yeah.
like, because it's on a cliff,
Yeah,
they
boy,
have to have a lot of like safety stuff.
that's good. I don't have to see.
I mean, while we're at it, we should, that's, also seems to be the kind of place that should probably have a guardrail, not just a chain link fence right there.
Huge barricades.
Yeah.
The cement, I don't know if those cement things would be enough or not, but kicking right around.
Yeah.
But anyway, some huge boulders in there.
Slate,
Yeah.
like the slate right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's enough room.
Like some like a chunk of sleep?
Big blocks of stuff, yeah.
Block size of this plus down 3 or 4 feet. Might have it up there.
No, I meant like,
Oh,
Would it
definitely.
be possible to get them to move the telephone
There's a
pole
telephone pole there.
to the left, so you could widen that road
Oh,
out?
right.
yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Seems like they'd move that for the,
Yeah.
That'd be a good.
where it's a safety issue.
That
Yeah,
way
we
we
could-
could put the barricades there.
Tell
Yeah.
Allstate, no one would rebuild the fence unless we moved the telephone pole,
Yeah.
the slate blocks and the guardrail.
So you wanna add another 40,000
Yeah.
for that?
We'll make our money back for the snafu.
So in the process of when the comprehensive plan comes out, there will be like a final review and allow maybe public input on that?
there will be, yeah, once I get it back from the consultant, there'll be, at least one or maybe two. And if there's like a lot, if you have one meeting and there's so many people that come, I think it probably would be worth having two. But then from there,
I know we can't mess around too long, but
Right.
on the other
Well,
hand, it's good to get people's input.
the
too.
good thing is the deadline is our own deadline. So,
No,
yeah, but, yeah, we can, there are ways that things can be changed or a little bit attitude if the public is enough.
and I don't know which club is in charge of the access that reaches the Robinson's location, but I guess trail extends from Robinson's then by law that we talked about, another 1,500 feet. I don't know, 1,500 feet brings you to the Blanchard Road or not. All I'm just saying is that you see it all if you sit around long enough in town, I'll tell you. The fellow filled up at Robinson's, and then I saw him winging it down through to Blanchard, you know. And then it was this weekend, I was coming up from somewhere, Bangor, anyway. And lo and behold, 3 side-by-sides and a dirt bike on Route 15, just before the Monson Abbott town line by the moose horns there.
Oh,
And I'm going like, oh yeah.
that's one thing.
Yeah. I said, okay. But anyway, that's just but there's no signage, that's what I'm saying, out on 15, trail end, road,
Right,
stop.
right.
So once they get to the Blanchard Road, though, that's not a trail.
No, I mean, that's why I say trail end signs.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But I mean,
Oh,
I think
okay.
they've got the law that they can go another 1,500 feet
Yeah.
beyond the, like Robinson's. So, just wanted to mention it. I know they've been on the news a lot lately, because we've had our own questions about it, but
Speaking to the speaking to people in Augusta, I think there could be some stuff coming down about ATVs.
You brought it up first, you're the forecaster.
I know, it just makes sense. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
this is not just our town.
I'm done.
Can I
Yep.
answer? Just remind me a couple of things. We talked last time about those intersections on Hebron Street, Main Street, and Pleasant Street. And just, I don't want to forget about that, because the other day also, I was trying to pull out again from Pleasant Street. nerve-wracking. And we talked about maybe signage, so van parking from so many feet from the corner on both sides. I don't know how we go about doing that.
So the I don't know what they're called, the convex, the convex
The mirrors,
mirrors,
yeah.
those have been ordered. I don't know how long they take to
Okay.
come in. I got the website from the state, so I'm gonna go visit it with
Okay. So it would be on this side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that one I was gonna ask, that one I was thinking more about for Hebron Street.
okay.
Well, like Pleasant Street, I know that the staff at the store at MONSON General are like in tune with it. So if people are parking there, they're talking to them. But, and then we had talked about, about getting like a sandwich board type thing, which have on it.
I mean, in the immediate term, is this anything more than just putting out cones?
Cones?
Sure.
Last time we put stuff in the road, they ran it over.
I think in winter time too,
Yep.
it's better like a road sign. And my other question was, the flashing speed sign, what's the status on that?
Nothing to do.
And do we know for sure sheriff's office is supposed to be taking?
No,
it?
it's actually a DOT
Oh,
thing.
yes.
Well, no, it's not a DOT. DOT and the sheriff's office work together for whatever, however, I don't know.
Okay.
And then it's up to us.
Okay. And
And when I spoke to DOT about it after we unplugged it and plugged it back in, because that was their first suggestion,
yeah.
it didn't work. So then they said, we'll contact them. And I tried that.
Okay. And this is just, I'm just kind of brainstorming so many residents on the North Guilford Road there, section in town there, put up nice signs about, drive as if your kids live here and slow down. But, winter's coming and we won't have as much traffic hopefully, but it's still a very dangerous road, people are speeding by there and I'm just.
It'll get worse than winter now, it's slippery too.
Yeah, and exactly, I'm just wondering, what other kind of signage, I forget what town I was in the other day, but there's a slow sign with lights that kind of like they're solar, and, is that something T can help us with? One coming into town, near the romantic road, to warn people to slow down, and then one coming in this way.
And I noticed some children playing signs too.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
those,
we did buy more of the children have played. So
yeah,
those are up now.
yeah, but like I said, in the winter time,
Yeah.
those aren't going to be
No,
possible.
they'll be very winter.
But just an idea.
I did forget one thing, and it was just something you mentioned in that last meeting there. I think it's Tulsa mentioned already. When we have these meetings, and we have items that need to be worked on and fixed, we need to set and find out who's gonna do what, set those priorities, set the timelines to get that done. I know you mentioned it last time. I look back in the notes and I saw it for you, and I saw it myself too.
Yeah, but we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
And hopefully that will take care of the issues of things.
Yeah,
Cleaning up all the time.
I just almost have a bingo, all these other things on my list already discussed, but the last one, open item, was you were gonna look into the county tax increase and why what was so different this year.
I do not do that, but I will do that.
All right, town committee, yes.
Excuse me. Are you talking about the appeals board appointment where Daniel was going to look into that 20% increase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what does that deal with? Can you explain that?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell me what that's all about, please?
The county tax?
Yes.
So there are 3 levels of like taxes here in the state. So there's state taxes, then there's what you pay for here in town, but then also there is you do pay county taxes as well to the county, but you do it through the town. So once a year, the county sends a tax bill to all the towns
Yeah.
of that. And that's what pays for the sheriff's office, it pays for the county jail, it pays for the DA's, not really kind of the DA's office, that's more of like a federal thing, but, so anything that's like, that's like a county. And technically, counties are charged with economic development too, so I guess it pays for that.
And that is shown in our tax bills also, right?
Yes,
We
yep.
pay-
So by law, on your tax bill, we have to put like that certain percentage of your tax bill is for county, is for the school, and for the town.
So,
So ours is usually about 7 to 8%.
right, so it may start up at 20%.
No.
No, the budget went up 20%.
Yeah.
So that's what we were looking into.
Thank you.
Okay, town committee reports, festival committee. Ellen? Bicentennial committee.
We have a logo and are working on merchandise that will be available for sale soon, and a brochure listing the major activities for each month for 2022. Should be finalized within the next few weeks. So we'll be publicizing all the cool things that will be going on.
Great. So the first events are in January, right?
That's right, January 1st, not
okay.
December 31st. Nobody wants to stay up till midnight.
There will be three parties organized separately.
Yes.
Great. Beautification committee.
Where shall we say we are?
We're working on a sculpture possibility.
We're in communication with the technology teacher at PCHS to see, he's teaching a metal sculpture class this year. And so we thought it would be a great idea to see if we could collaborate. He's very interested. We're asking, school started, so it's kind of busy, trying to set the meeting with them. But to have students kind of do some research on the history of MONSON and come up with a sculpture that would be related to the history or ecological environment, and just propose to us their ideas on the cost and et cetera. So that's what we're doing.
Great. Old business, code violation discussion with Spring Creek Party Gate.
So, if we follow the ordinance, when there is a code violation, Brian, as the CEO, goes through, he goes through that whole process where he gives them another 30 days to appeal. To whether they're corrected or not. And then if it's not corrected, and they don't appeal it to the Board of Appeals, the CEO then turns over to the Select Board for further action. And then the ordinance gives pretty broad authority to the Select Board to take any action, whether it's legal, not legal. You guys can levy fines. You can do nothing. I guess that's an option. We've had some hiccups where there were some meetings that we tried to have happen within, but
It wasn't a hiccup.
I was gonna say, this meeting does have to happen, but because there were some concerns that were brought up by Mike about the process, and because we don't want to go forward with going to court or to do fines, so to figure out a way to not have to do that, and then here we go. So the issue with Spring Creek, the violation that Brian is citing them for is a deck that was built on the, I don't know if it's rear or left or the right side, but the building side that goes towards we're gonna go, there's a deck, that was not permitted. And
Okay, thanks, Brian. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I can add something to it, sir. A permit is needed for a deck. That's in the ordinance. In the definition of a structure, you need a permit for a structure. And in the definition of a structure, it specifically points out, including decks and porches. And the land use ordinance states that a permit is needed for the deck at $30 up to 500 square feet. And after the fact, permit, it's 4 times the original cost, so 30 times 4 equals $120. This is in the ordinance. It's written in our ordinance. It cannot be altered or changed without going to a town vote. It's in the ordinance. The town adopted the ordinance. Witham needs to fill out an application, present it to the code enforcement officer, and with a payment of $120. And I have sent him the 2 letters that I needed to send him. And I gave him the chance twice, so he's had 60 days, 30 days each time, to appeal it to the Board of Appeals, which can be taken to the Board of Appeals, and the Board of Appeals, I don't, you just present everything to the Board of Appeals. And I present my side to the Board of Appeals. Now, the town can enter into a consent agreement stating that if he pays the $120, the town will not proceed with any court action. That needs to be signed by all of the selectmen and him. And like I said, he's had 2 chances to appeal it, didn't do so. And I'd just like to state, I've issued 2 after the fact permits within the past 2 years. Both paid 4 times the fee and was done with. I have followed the enforcement procedures in the correct manner as far as I know. And also, in just the last, I only went back 10 years. Could have gone back double that. But I've issued 24 permits for decks. I could have gone back a lot further than that. Why is Whitlam's deck any different than the other 24 people who got deck permits for $30?
Thank you, Brian. The purpose of putting this on the agenda tonight is, of course, to go through the public process for code violations. The select board does have wide latitude to, or wide discretion for what to do in a situation like this. The legal processes are slightly challenged right now, given the backlog in the courts and so on and so forth. So we put this on the public agenda tonight for the purpose of having a discussion and hoping that we can come to a mutually agreeable conclusion. So that's why we're here. I think it's fair, Mike, if you have anything you'd like to say about this specific issue at hand, which is the deck on the backside of your building.
I'm here for what I'm on the agenda for code violations discussion. And I made a complaint about the town putting up a sign in violation of the land use ordinances a year and a half ago. That has never been addressed yet. I was never informed the sign is illegal, it's still illegal. The Libra sign is a violation of the land use ordinance. You guys have been actively tracking me down and persecuting me in retaliation for me making a complaint about that sign. Everything that these two guys said is interesting, but everybody has seen this letter. Eric, you saw it. Read it and pay attention to it. The purpose of this meeting. Why don't you read it out loud so everybody here can understand it?
I'll go right from the beginning then. Code violation meeting addressing Mike and Kim. As you are aware, the code enforcement officer has cited you for not obtaining a permit to build a deck at your property located on 34 Greenville Road. Several town officials have attempted to speak with you about this with no results. The select board is requesting you attend a special meeting on Wednesday, July 28th at 6 p.m. at the town office for the purpose of discussing the violation. It is understood that you have concerns about the process and how it was handled. So the select board would like to discuss this so a reasonable conclusion can be found. And the ending is, if you have any questions or anything comes up before the meeting, please do not hesitate to contact me at the town office. Daniel Swain, Town Manager.
That was the meeting to have this discussion, not tonight.
So,
Everything you said is interesting, but it doesn't matter anymore. That issue was resolved that night, and the fact that none of you showed up after Daniel came to my place and told me he was going to arrange it. Marty called me Tuesday night and told me the meeting was happening. If I had any questions, call the town office on Wednesday, which is closed, and I should reach out to a selectman, which I did, and I never heard back. And I was at the meeting with a witness. That meeting was held, it's done, it's time to move on. So I would like to talk about the violation that the town has.
thank you, Mike. So,
No, I'm on the agenda and I have the floor and you are not going to interrupt me.
the purpose of tonight's meeting, Mike,
It is not.
to
It says right
discuss
here, Tyler.
the code violation of your deck.
It doesn't say that.
Spring Creek Barbecue.
I take exception with that,
I'm sorry you
and
take
I'm raising
exception.
this issue. I've raised it before. This is a public hearing. I've asked questions. I've never been answered.
Yep.
And you're
It's
not going to
actually-
stonewall me
it's not-
anymore.
It's not a public hearing. It's an item on the agenda for discussion.
Yes, I am on the agenda.
The topic of your code violation is on the agenda.
It doesn't
And
say
so
that
I'm
in
providing
these.
you the opportunity
It does not say that.
to contest why you shouldn't have to get a permit for your deck. And if you would like to make the argument, you're free to. Otherwise, we'll move on to other items on the agenda, and we'll return to this topic in the executive session later on. That's how this meeting will be conducted. So do you have anything specific to say about your code violation and construction of a deck on the backside of your building?
Under advice of counsel, I can't talk about it any more than what I've said. That the meeting happened, it's done, it's dead, move on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Witham. The next topic for discussion tonight is the early buyout of the solar panels.
So I put this back on the agenda because we didn't come to a conclusion last meeting. I emailed you guys a copy of what I got. No?
That's what that,
Oh, you missed a lot of stuff. I sent some other stuff too.
that's what they originally.
Yesterday. We'll fix your game on that. So the update would be that I got a quote from our bank as to what it would cost us to lease it out. If that's the way we go, that's my job's to get all the information. So the lease amount would be $57,014 21 cents. If we were to do a 3-year lease, the interest rate would be 2.08%, and the yearly payment would be $19,801.12. If we did a 7-year lease, the interest rate would be 2.62. The yearly payment would be $9,021.06. If we did a 10-year lease, the interest rate would be 2.9%, and the yearly payment would be $6,666.36. So, and again, as we've done with other leases, this bank, this is our bank, so these are the very good rates. I don't think we would get anywhere else. And they also are always willing to put the first payment off. So if it's something that we wanted to ask the town about next year, we actually could do that now. And this is an option that I'm giving you if we decide that we do want to buy it. There was some discussion last meeting about using the $65,000 that we're getting from the federal government in recovery funds to pay for it. Just as a reminder, we kind of already earmarked that money mostly. So like we earmarked $50,000 of that to pay to Axiom Technologies, to Premium Choice, not Axiom, to pay for the upgrade in all the fiber lines, which is going to benefit most of the town. Yeah, that's what I have. And what other information do we need to decide? I think Eric had asked earlier about the payoff. You had done some calculations and figured out that it would take like a 12-year time frame.
Yeah, that was the cash payback. But with this information, I'd like to do some more thinking on the matter.
I look at that as a 25-year lifespan for that system. And what I did was I calculated 25 years times, I don't know what the average kilowatt is that we're going to be displacing. But we're still going to have it. It's going to be offset by whatever credits is there. So I multiplied out like $4,200 times 25. That gave me like a figure of $110,000. Then on top of that, we have the $57,000 that we're going to be buying out. So we got $100 and some odd thousand over a 25-year period, which is like $7,000 per year, which is over the normal amount that we're paying for the electricity. It's just based on not having any change in cost. It was about $2,000 some odd dollars. So my question is, on an annual basis, can we offset the entire cost of our current electric cost? And if so, that's good. But we do have the additional buyout price of that $57,000 still on top. And that's what that difference is. We're not getting any great benefit out of it other than it's covering our costs, and then we're going to have a buyout payment that lasts through the life of the system. And that's not counting any costs for like insurance and maintenance and on and on. But I thought they put a number like $2,000 a year for all that extra stuff. That would be something that might cover the cost. Over 25 years times 25, so that's $50,000 on top of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're already paying the insurance on the system.
Yeah, but I mean, insurance isn't a big thing.
No,
It's like
exactly.
$100 a year or something.
So if you're yeah, I mean, you can think of it this way. So if your calculation is that it will save you $110,000 over the course of 25
What
years,
is the saving those things actually be a cost to us?
those are the value of the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
If
What do you mean?
If, but then was stating to me that we already had the system in place and we are not showing any gain from it, there's cost to it.
No, well, yes, so the first year, so in December of last year when Vaughn did his like yearly, and we did pay a little bit more. So there wasn't any credits left. From them, we still have credits left with like CMP.
So this is the difference between accounting and cash flow. So we by contract are buying the credits at a 10% discount. So that means that we save 10% no matter what. When you use those credits and when they get applied to your bill depends on the season and your monthly electricity use.
Right.
So if you're just tracking on a 1 month to 1 month basis, those numbers won't align. But over time, those
Well, that's
numbers
why I
will
said
catch
I
up.
did this basically on a 12-month basis. That's what-
Yeah, so if over, just to use your numbers, if over 25 years it generates $110,000 in credits, and we pay $57,000 to buy it, we then save $53,000. That's the net in our pocket.
I guess I gotta see the numbers. I don't see it that way.
I can
Yeah.
prepare a summary kind of
Yeah.
for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My case is that I want to make sure that the cost of the power on a monthly basis is offset by the price over a period of a year. Because, you know, your solar energy was created is only going to be probably a 6 or 7 month period of time. Other times probably down to nothing.
It produces all year round,
There's snow on, stuff like
Yep.
that.
in months.
Not a lot.
I mean, we have it's been operating since November of last year.
No, before that.
Look what that, there we are.
It was like February is when it came online.
But one thing for sure, that's a little bit, if it's been a year or better than a year, has it been a year yet?
It'll be a year, it'll be 2 years next year. Next.
So it was within that year and a half budget period, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but all I'm just saying is that I don't know if we're accounting for the credits when we do our budget just to have any offsets noted in that, or are we just picking up the CMP bills and just saying, okay, so it really isn't showing what the positive effect is of the credits.
Not in the budgeting
I
process.
know, but so you look at those numbers and go like,
Yeah.
so is there a way to do that?
I can take care of that.
Okay, because that's what I think that people want to see, because the only way I'm going to vote for this is that the people vote for it. I understand what they're getting.
I get a spreadsheet every month of what we have in the credit bank and what we use and what's been added to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do.
I won't sign off on something without having to vote.
And you are right. It was in like February when they front loaded all the credits that we earned from one of their tournaments.
Yeah, I think it was October.
Yeah.
John?
But after a time, some of those credits are taken off, from what I've been told.
You have 12 months from the date that the credits enter your bill to use them before they expire.
Right.
Yep. That's why it's important to size a system for approximately the annual energy use of your, whatever it is that you're offsetting.
And also, from what I've been told, those credits can't be used for the delivery charge.
That's not correct. The credits apply, their value is per kilowatt hour. That was inclusive of the energy charge and the delivery charge.
That's not what I've been
That
told.
was me. Yeah. No, that I didn't know that new information when we talked that day.
Well, then why are we paying money to Central Maine Power then, if they can be used for delivery charge as well? We shouldn't be paying anything if that's the case.
There is also fixed charges on the bill for having your service. So for a residential customer, I think it's $13, $14 for this commercial ones are $20 or something like that. So those charges don't go away.
Well, for the first 50 kilowatt hours, it's set charge
Correct.
on the delivery as well as the standard offer electricity.
Yep.
It's that way. But I'm pretty sure the town bills are paying more than just that for the delivery charge.
Not on net, no. Okay, so we will, sounds like we'll continue this conversation down the line. All right. New business, select board bylaws.
Sue has an idea.
I'm just wondering if we table this for next meeting, because we have a lot on the agenda, and that would give more time to look at things.
Yeah, I was going to suggest the same. I haven't had time to dig into it deeply yet.
Did we get a review by our attorney?
The copy you have has been reviewed by the attorney.
Oh, this is an old copy.
And you will have to, we
Okay,
gotta be email fixed.
okay.
That was the latest one that you said. Yeah, okay.
The one I sent yesterday was the one that was from the event.
Okay. Next agenda item is setting the mill rate.
So some backstory to this is that we hired some new assessors, and I'm sorry that the tax bills are late. Never realized people wanted their tax bills as early as they did. But, anyway. They will be here on Monday to do the agreement with me. I had asked that we do like a special meeting, but there was some concern amongst the select board that if we had that special meeting, like that nobody would know about it. So it was preferred that we set the mill rate at a public meeting. So I emailed the select board 3 different options for a mill rate. And just so you're aware, these don't have to be it. If we decide to go outside of these 3, it's very quick for me to just go in my office, recalculate it, and then I can sort of these up. So, I guess just to explain a little bit of where the budget came from, because I think there's people that were involved in the budget process. Our evaluation over the last couple of years has steadily been going up, which is great. And that's due to Libra, it's due to all the investment, it's due to so many different things. People buying houses and then selling them before they even turn on the power type stuff. So because of that, the higher our like valuation goes, the more that budget is spread out over the town. So say like when I started, our valuation was like 58 million. Currently we are staring at like 77 million. So that's a very big increase. Also, some things to note is, as we talked about earlier, there was a 20% increase in our like county tax. Our town budget did go up slightly from last year. It's up, I think, 60,000 or 70,000 and change. I remember that off the top of my head. But the good thing that's happening is that our school budget has gone down. Our school budget last year was 580 something thousand. This year, with a decreased enrollment, because more and more kids are being homeschooled, and also the feds released all the recovery money to the school districts. So the school districts were able to use that money to lower the tax rates for the schools. Our school bill for this year went down to $521,000, so like almost like $60,000 decrease. The other thing that is happening is that the state has pretty like steadily decreased the amount of like revenue sharing that we get. So that is all towns all towns by law are supposed to get a portion of the sales tax and some other taxes that I don't know off the top of my head. Over the last like 10, 12 years, that number has like slowly gone down. Even though the law says 5%, 1 year we got 1%. The legislature this year has committed to funding it at 4.5%, which that increased our revenue sharing from last year. We got about 50,000. So for this year, I am using in 21, the other $1,000. So that's like $70,000. We're right there. And most of our other revenues have stayed the same. What that equals is that we have a minimum tax rate of 16.257.910. Anyway, but the maximum rate can be up to 17.069, which is half of a mil less than what it was before last year. So our mill last year was 17.5. The highest that we can do for this year is 17.069. So now the selectmen, if you have questions about anything, if you want to.
What's the risk of setting it at
Yep.
the lowest?
The risk is that we can't do that because the town approves a 2% discount every year. So the mill rate, what the number that we should be looking at is the overlay, and the overlay, which is up to 5% over the budget, is what pays for that like discount. So the past 4 years, the discount has averaged about $13 to $15,000. So we really can't set it at the lowest because our overlay would be in the like negative actually. We can't have a negative overlay anymore. But also what that overlay pays for is lick abatements. So if you remember, not last year, but the year before, we voted to have a fairly healthy overlay because we had just done the reevaluation and we didn't know it was going to make people come out of the woodworks to want the other abatement. It's good that we did because we did have lots of people that wanted to have abatements or needed to have like their taxes to be look adjusted. And so the three examples that I gave the selectmen was if we lowered it to 16.7, our overlay would be like $35,000. If we lowered it to 16.5, our overlay would be $19,400. And if we lowered it to 16.45, the overlay would be $15,400.
I was going to ask you, is there any other offsets that we might get from the state or from federal government that might help us because we may have to put things in the budget that we didn't calculate that there would be some offsets on?
No, we didn't budget for anything. We didn't, for whatever it's worth, MONSON fared through the pandemic fairly well.
Well,
all the money that we lost because we were closed for a couple months, we made back and then some when we reopened. We didn't have any we're a small town, so our COVID cost was pretty minimal. There wasn't much that I could get for that, and really that's what I'm told. That's the purpose of the $65,000 too, is to pay for that, which is why we're using it for somebody else because we didn't have much that was expensive.
Okay, so see, I don't recall everything unless I look at my writing and stuff like that. But the money that we're receiving at $65,000, we talked about maybe using it for the solar, but we're going to use it for the cable instead. Did we already bill that amount at the time?
No. So the law that was passed for that specifically says that money cannot be used to lower taxes.
That's right, too. I remember that from the new administration. One more question, and that was around what we have over the period of time with the previous town manager. I think we had money in the savings, maybe to cover just 1 month's worth of operating expenses.
Maybe, yeah.
And of course, I think part of the question that John asked about a lot of times is that through surplus and other means there, the amount of money that we have now is around $500,000 or so.
280,000 was from the latest audit.
Let's okay, that's all.
But it's going to go up, I believe, for the next audit, which they're working on right now.
Okay.
In this budget, we did take $50,000 from the surplus to offset taxes.
Okay. No, I was just wondering if it was, if we use some of that money based on having a real hard line expenditure of what we have currently for budget, we hold to that tight. Did we use any of that money by vote, or we need to go by public vote? Or?
Yep. Kind of like when we thought that we were going to run out of money for the plow contract.
Yeah.
We can spend that money however we want. We just have to get a vote.
Yeah, no, I expect that. But on the other hand, I don't want us to get into that position that we were in 4 or 5 years ago. But
Yeah, it was scary.
So how many months is 280,000?
Depends on the month for payroll, but with the school bills going down, that's approximately 4 months.
Would you say 3 to 4?
4.
Okay. And in years past, so the only difference between these 3 mill rates is how big the overlay is. And in years past, have we also talked about, like, if there were some scenarios where we were using surplus to kind of buy down the mill rate, or
Yes. Yeah.
that's what exactly what I was talking
Yes, that's what we're doing now. So in the budget, so I don't have like a town report, but there's under the revenue that there's a line that says use of surplus, and that's taking money right from the surplus or right from that fund to reduce.
Yeah, but we did that as part of the budget process,
Right.
not as the set the mill rate process.
No, if you guys wanted to change that now, I don't know. Never had a select board ask that question.
No, I just, in my brain in years past, we were talking about surplus when we were setting the mill rate, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was calculating as part of the budget process what the impact would be.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? Okay. And so for the overlay, I mean, what does it, I guess the question is, like, does it even really matter? Because we're going to pay out whatever gets approved anyway, right? Whether it's abatements or the discounts. So if it ends up being, we end up paying out more than whatever the overlay was, it still gets paid out, right?
It does, but then it looks bad on paper, and it could start affecting the fund balance. So the reason why you have an overlay, if you want to know, it's an old law from when everything was done by hand. So that 5% that you can raise over is because people have bad handwriting, or they might put the wrong number down. And that's where the idea of the overlay.
So it's a cushion.
Yeah, it's a cushion.
Yeah.
But now, because all that is like gone away with like computers and stuff, it's used to pay for the like discounts, used to pay for the abatements.
So what is your estimate for how much we will likely be paying in discounts and abatements?
So over the last 4 years, the average for the discount has been about 13 to 14,000, and then honestly, for the abatements, it's really going to be. I think we could either be slammed with abatement requests or we could have none. I don't think it's going to be in the middle because we switched assessors. There's going to be a lot of like new questions. Having the taxes go down will help a lot. I think when the taxes go down, people don't question their assessment as much. I've tried to look at how many abatements that the town has like given out over the years. It's hard to see, but I think if we did lower the mill rate by 1 to 16.5, and we had the mill rate, and the overlay was at that like 19,000, we might be okay. So I mean that's what I'm doing. That's what I recommend. If we truly wanted to be safe, we could raise it to. I mean, not raise it. We could have it be like 16.5 or 16.6.
But so last year, for example, we were expecting a lot of abatements. We didn't get that many, or did we?
No, we did.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
And so how much was last year? Do you know?
31,000. And we had, that was with, the discount. So actually, that was the overlay. So without the, it was about 20,000 without the discount. Just for record, I've always been on record as saying that if you take out the discount, the lower taxes.
Get ready for the hanging ropes.
Peripheral question, but what percentage of our tax revenue comes in within the discount period?
A lot. I actually had to do this for the bond. We are generally like 85 to 90% paid within the first couple, well, yes, that's within the first year, but, so I've never done it within the discount.
What do you mean first year?
So when we fill out the paperwork for the bond, we have to tell them how much of the taxes they collect in the first year for each tax year. So I know like for the last like 2 years, we collect about 85 to 90% of all the taxes within the first year.
Yeah, but I mean within the discount.
Right, I've never actually.
And similarly, I'd be curious, like what, I don't know if we have access to this info, but what percentage of our tax revenue comes in as like automatic payments through escrow accounts held by banks, as opposed to people writing, making manual payments? Because I think that impacts the discount conversation as well. If the banks are just sending the checks, then it's one and the same.
They call for the discount.
So you're saying that if there wasn't a discount, they wouldn't pay when they do?
No. I'm saying that when the mortgage companies, they call and ask for what the discount amount is.
Yeah, of course, because otherwise they would give you too much money.
So if you want to take a few minutes, I can figure out how much for last year, how much we took in during the first month.
Well, I mean, it's neither here nor there for now. I mean, it's something it's more related to the discount conversation and a cash flow conversation. But I guess you answer my question, which is like, for example, last year we paid out about $34,000 in overlay.
It was like 31.
Okay. So then the abatements were less than 20,000. You said 14 for the discount. Okay, so about 17.
I'm not sure.
So what are the three overlay amounts in your scenarios?
So at 16.5, the overlay would be 19,400 and change. At 16.7, the overlay would be 35,500 and change. And at 16.45, the overlay would be 15,400 and change.
So, sorry, your options are 16.45, 16.5, and 16.7?
Yeah, but that's just what we can, if you want me to I can go back and like do it as a different way. That's just what I put forward as ideas.
Mm-hmm. So, the first two options are quite a bit less than what we needed last year. In overlay.
Yeah.
I would think that at a minimum we would need that 16 or that 35 and a half.
I think there's a chance we could be hit with a lot of revision requests with the new assessors. I don't know that we will, but I think there's a chance.
Do you see changes in valuation?
A little bit, yeah. We've added some stuff. They've been working a lot more with Brian than the last assessors, so we've added a few houses and a few sheds and stuff.
I think it's more money coming in.
it's more money to spread it out over, it's more money coming in.
Are they, do they now stand behind the numbers on the assessments, or are they still using the data from Hamlin's?
No, so when they were here last time, which was last Thursday, Ed, who's our guy, said that he feels pretty confident now that he's got it all figured out. So at first, he was trying to calculate the value between the different types of land, and for every tax card, the rate was different. But through some trial and error, he's kind of gotten it now where it's pretty well consistent.
So there may be more changes in property evaluations this year than in the past, but overall things should be much more accurate than they were in the past.
Oh yeah, and if they're not, if somebody's property isn't accurate now, it will be because they're much more on top of it.
And most of the abatements historically were for pretty egregious errors.
Pretty egregious.
In the assessments.
The big example that I usually use is two properties. One had a house, one didn't have a house, but the house was supposed to be on the other property. They didn't even touch each other, so not sure how that happened.
I guess what I'm getting at here is for the abatements should actually be much lower if the accuracy of the data is higher.
Right.
But we don't know that.
Again, I think lowering the tax rate takes a lot of that. I mean, I still think we have a good chance of having a big influx of them, but lowering is going to make people not really question it as much.
And so just to wrap it up, then I think my thought would be to use the higher rate with the higher overlay for this year until we get another cycle under our belt for how much we should be putting in people's life. But open to suggestions.
So some real life numbers are for that. If your property and house are valued at $100,000, and we lower it to 16.7, their tax bill would go from $1,700 to from 1750 to 1670. So they save $80.
I was going to ask you, this is kind of off the side, really, but where do you feel comfortable in operating a town budget with how much? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
General accounting rules say you want 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months. Holy moly. Yeah. That's a lot of pushing.
Last time I managed, we had a year.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's right. It's different when you work for a private organization, most of your life. 36 million, and they wouldn't let me be off even 25,000.
Well, it's a savings account. It's not a matter of accuracy.
Yeah, but it's just, no, it's just a matter of still, it's tax from the people. That amount of money that's in excess of what you could possibly manage this administration. I just see it as being an overhead. You have that much money and you have 4 months worth of operating expense, I think you could whittle that down to 2, as long as you're looking at your numbers carefully.
I don't know. As the person that lived through the months when we used to have 1 month's worth of money, it's not very fun.
Anyway.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm intending to leave because we just don't know enough about what the abatements are going to be.
And I know that we say this a lot, if we don't use it, it goes back into the, it just goes back.
So, again, last year it was up versus the estimates for the previous years of 14,000. So we don't, do you have any clue that it's going to be close to last year? We don't, because we haven't had assessors.
Only just that we know that we're going to lower the tax rate,
Right.
which is going to make people happy, which means that they're not going to question stuff. But we also know that we have no assessor that people may have some questions with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't quite buy the taxes go down, people don't pay attention. But what happened last year was that everything was reassessed, so everyone had a new number. So, and they all went up.
I'm not sure if we have to go as high as 35,000 overlay.
And you say last year's overlay was how much?
So that's the discount and the,
Well, how much did we overlay last year?
like 32,000, it was really close.
Can we just hold that last year? Put those numbers down to 32.
I can play around with it, and then, so you want me to pick the mill rate that puts us at 32,000?
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's like half, right?
Yeah, I think it was gonna be.
Whatever, it's, move a couple decimal
Yeah.
places, 16.65.
Yeah, I think so. You just wanna say 60, just so I don't have to, just so that there's a motion that says like a number.
Do we sign anything here, or we just make the vote, yeah, so 16.65? 16.65?
Yeah.
That's,
60
do we make a motion on it, or just? So I move that we set the mill rate for this next fiscal year at 16.65.
Second.
All right. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. We're going to now go into executive session for 1 MRSA subsection 405 6H code enforcement.